We've been on a 1-week experiment. I went cold turkey and switched to the iPhone 3.
And I dumbified my iPhone and my Android smartphones.
And then Marquez dropped this video. So we'll respond to his take and give you 5 reasons why dumb phones aren't as dumb as you think.
Namaste with DHRME. Dumb hardware really minimizes entertainment.
This is an OLED display under matte glass, and it's wrapped in this all-metal body. So it's this cool little all-black box with big clicky buttons around it.
Yes, Marquez, you're right. We don't disagree with a lot of things you've said. Yes, the design and build quality is top-notch. Metal sides, matte OLED screen, and clicky buttons. And it's very cute looking and definitely a conversation starter. Yes, the UI is minimal looking and has the essentials. No browser, TikTok, email, or other third-party apps. Yes, the NFC chip and fingerprint scanner does nothing yet. There's also no two-factor authentication apps or mobile payments.
And then start typing away, and good luck because there's no autocorrect either.
And yes, there's no autocorrect on the keyboard, but that's where we need to dive in a bit deeper. Not only is there no autocorrect, but there are a lot of mistaps on this keyboard. This means you make a lot of mistakes while typing. And that's likely got to do with the fact that it isn't a smart keyboard. Smart keyboards, like on your iPhone or Android device, can anticipate which letter you're going to hit based on the words and sentences you're typing. But there's more. The placement of certain functions makes it worse. There's a voice-to-text button which is too close to the backspace and enter button, so you end up hitting that very often. The add media button is too close to the spacebar, so guess what happens then? And I'm multilingual, so it's just yummer that English is the only language currently supported. Oh, and speaking of that voice-to-text button, it works well, but you have to be quick and fluent. Else any gap in your sentence will be seen as the end of the sentence and it will end with a period. There's a lot of rework to go and fix that. And the last thing while on the keyboard, if you're typing a long note and you go to edit a part of it at the top of the note, the view jumps to the bottom. So you can't actually see what you're typing anymore.
Lets you subscribe to podcasts and listen to them on the fly. You can even pair Bluetooth headphones to this.
And although that is correct in theory, with extended use, we've seen some issues here. Before we get to that, one issue on the UI. You can't actually see what you're playing on the home screen. All you get is track controls. You need to go into the app to see the song or podcast details. And when paired to Bluetooth headphones, you can only change volume straight from the headphones. Play pause does not work. You can only do that from the phone itself. This was the case on the Lite Phone 2 as well. This seems like a basic feature that should have been supported. The stability of the Bluetooth connection has been unreliable in our testing too. There were times that it was connected to Bluetooth headphones, but the audio and phone calls wouldn't go through them, even though it clearly showed they were connected. A reboot of Lite OS was the only fix.
So maybe you've seen some of the others in this category, like the Boox Palma, or now the Boox Palma 2 that I've been testing. There is no ebook reader at all.
Marquez seems to be comparing the Lite Phone 3 a lot to the Boox Palma. But I don't quite see the value of having e-reader on a phone this small that's meant to be used as little as possible. The idea is to read books on a separate e-reader without an OLED screen or even a physical book. That's a lot better for your eyes.
I don't know, why can't I have a reader on this one? It has podcasts, it has music.
So why does the Lite Phone 3 have podcasts or music then? Probably because most people don't have an alternative. Nobody really buys separate music players for on the go. But if you do, then you'll probably do that even with a smartphone. You know who you are.
And there are no settings for shooting full 50 megapixel resolution, or changing the resolution to anything else at all, or aspect ratio, or focal length. Just flash and exposure.
It's true that there are barely any camera settings, but Marquez didn't show any samples of what it can do. We got your back. Here are a couple of samples we took with it. You decide what you think. We'll be honest, the camera is not great for the specs. We'll agree with that. It needs good light, and the subject should be still because of the slow two-step camera shutter system. The chance of motion blur is just very high. The video lacks any form of stabilization, and even when standing still, it's noticeable. And the quality of the video is quite grainy. The color reproduction in photos is pleasing, and it gives the photos a vintage vibe. It's okay to capture the moment, but don't expect this to be the camera in your pocket, unlike most smartphones these days.
And then there's the toll on the others in your life. It's true that there are no messaging platforms on it. We feel that messaging is an important way to stay connected to people, so it should still fit into the minimalist design. Without these messaging platforms, there's no way to stay in touch with friends and family, especially those of us with friends and family living abroad, without driving up your phone bill. And having only SMS support means friends, family, and colleagues all need to use another app alongside their existing ones just to reach you. And since there's no support for RCS, there was no rich media messaging. Plus, I had a plan with more data and fewer SMS messages because who needs that these days? So I was actually realizing I couldn't send one-word messages anymore like okay or cool or a thumbs up because I had like maybe 150 or 200 messages in a month and that was limited and I would be charged for anything above that. So everyone needs to remember that in order to reach you, they need to SMS you or call you, and they need to adjust their plans or contracts to communicate with you. The question is, how important are you in their lives? Now, it takes some getting used to, and on my end, there was a lot of frustration also because I had two phones with two different numbers, and Kevin could only reach me on one of those numbers with an SMS. We had to kind of make an agreement as to which number he would message me on, which was a pain because I like using both phones.
Like when you could pay $500 and get a full-fledged smartphone and then just put a minimal launcher on it. And then just delete the apps that you don't want to use. You know what I mean?
It's funny you should say that, Marquez, because that's exactly what I did this past week. So I daily drive two phones, just like you, Marquez, iPhone and Android. So the S25 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro. So on the iPhone, I installed an app called Dumb-ified, for which I had to pay like €7. It's bizarre. And I use the native screen time functions on the iPhone, which help me limit my app usage for certain apps. And on the Android, I use something called O-Launcher and Zen Screen, which help me limit time. I know there's also digital well-being part of Android, but I decided to use this because on Android, all these apps are free. Now, my focus here was not to use my phone less necessarily. It was to reduce the algorithm-focused apps. So all the continuous scrolling apps. And I did achieve that goal. It was severely reduced. I mean, even my wife said I'm using my phone less, and that counts for something. But the good thing about having a smartphone was I never felt limited when I was out and about, for maps or for just paying or scanning a QR code. I never really thought about those things. I could still communicate with family and friends. A lot of my family and friends are in other countries, so I could still do that. Having those restrictions and reminders meant that I could use my willpower a little bit less. Now, that does not mean I did not have to use my willpower because all these settings and, you can still bypass them completely if you want to. So if you're really down on a particular day and you're down in the dumps and you just want to be scrolling and doing something unhealthy, I could do that if I wanted to. And that is why I still see the point of the light phone for some people. The dumb-ified smartphone won't work for everyone because that might be like telling an addict to get a job or start eating healthy or working out or just stop using whatever's causing the addiction in the first place. $800 or $600 is a lot of money for most people. We're not arguing with that, but it might just be the fix, pun intended, for someone who's trying to lead a minimalist lifestyle and or cope with smartphone addiction. Because addiction is a real thing and everyone deals with it differently. If removing apps, installing a simple launcher and screen restrictions do the trick for you, then good on you. If locking up your phone for parts of the day is your thing, then cool.
Or if buying a phone like the Lite phone helps you get there, perfect. You do you. The Lite Phone 3 and all of the other minimalist phones out there is a tool to get you to live more intentionally with tech, the internet, and dopamine-inducing apps. It's not a productivity device in itself, but rather a device to make you productive, if you know what I mean. After a week of using the Lite phone, I've realized how little I've missed by not being on those apps. And I've realized how infinite scrolling algorithmic apps can get me wasting a ton of time. Just the colors on a smartphone made me want to use it. Having no notifications or apps on the light phone meant I never took it out every time I had a bit of time.
Hey. Dude, you okay?
The wallpaper is really interesting here, don't you think? Do you ever wonder why kids are so loud? I mean, like, why aren't they quieter?
Oh, right. No smartphone. This is just getting sad.
I just got bored more often, and that was okay. I spent my time at my laptop with more intention, and I didn't feel anxious or guilty because of binge scrolling through infinite feeds. After a week, I did go back to my smartphone. Not because I didn't like the light phone. Yes, it had its shortcomings, and maybe Light fixes those, or maybe they don't. And we will have talked to Light about their philosophy, so do check out that video linked below the like button. So I'm back to my iPhone because I value keeping in touch with people who live abroad, because I value digital security with two-factor authentication apps, because I value having YouTube, email, and to-do list apps for my work as a content creator. Is my smartphone the same as before I tried this experiment? No. I've removed social media apps like Instagram, TikTok, X, Blue Sky, and Reddit. I can visit those on my laptop or install the app when I really need it. I've cleared up my home screen with the essential apps that I use regularly. I've turned off the always-on display and set it permanently to the reduce interruptions focus mode. I've turned the display into grayscale to make it less enticing too. If I need to watch a video or use the camera, I can bring back the color easily with a triple press of a button.
Guys, that was our take on a really tough experiment, but we'd love to hear what you guys think. Thanks to all the supporters, especially these tested tier supporters, as well as our Fuckman tier supporters, Raj, Panda, Paula, and Rachel. Check out the links in description if you want to support this channel. Again, check out our interview with Light, the company behind the Light phone, linked up here somewhere. You've been keeping light, and we've been DHRME. Dui.